Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show, a member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com. Check out some of the other podcasts that they have on there. I promise you there's something that you can find or listen to. It doesn't matter to me. And don't forget to go to our webpage, bigjujitsu.com. Buy something from our store. Click on the Amazon banner at the top of the page and help keep us on the air. I'm Rob the Lord Humongous, and today I'm coming to you from the United States for once, believe it or not. So somebody I wanted to get on the show, and I know I ran into him about a year ago. And, well, he's an amazing jiu-jitsu artist. He's a really cool guy, and we really wanted to have him on the show. So I have Brad Acosta with me today. So how's it going, Brad?
Good, Rob. How you doing, man? Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, anytime, man. So, I ran into your purple belt. Well, you just got promoted to brown, didn't you?
Yeah, about 7 or 8 months ago, I guess. I got my brown belt, almost probably right after I met you, a little shortly after.
Nice. So, how did you get started? I know there was something in there about you doing some soccer, but I want to hear the real story from you, how you got started in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so I grew up. I was a lifelong soccer player. I've never done any martial arts. Played soccer all through just since I was 6, growing up all through high school, year-round. Played in college, then turned professional after that, and played professionally for a few years. And it's kind of all I ever really did. And as I started to get to, I was 30, roughly 31 or 32. Body was just, it was giving up. It was breaking down a little bit. My knees were getting bad. And I was like, you know what, I got to start finding something. I tried golf, and golf would make me more upset than any sport I've ever played before, and it's expensive. And I said, all right, golf's not it. Was trying tennis for a little bit, and tennis is only good if you've got somebody else that's just as good as you or as bad as you. So you have to have somebody that you can play with. If you have somebody that's way better, it's not fun. If somebody that's not as good, it's not fun. Anyway, long story short, I was working out at a Gold's Gym, just staying fit, and saw a sign that had a jiu-jitsu class. And I was like, oh, I might try this. And turned out it was Jeff Baum in there doing some jiu-jitsu with some of these guys that were World's Strongest Man competitors. And I walked in the door for the first class, and they were changing. And I see these 4 guys, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say that 2 of them were over 300 pounds. The other 2 were about 285 of, muscle. And they had their shirts off, and I was like, oh, God. Well, I've already walked in, and they saw me, and the door's closed behind me. I can't turn around and walk out. So I was like, yeah, I'd like to try jiu-jitsu tonight. And Jeff didn't think I would stay. He kind of, I won't say he blew me off, but he's like, oh, okay, well, come on in here. You know, you don't have a gi, but it's all right, here you go. And I saw the first class, and I was like, this is it. Perfect. Went home that night, ordered a gi online, had it next day aired, showed up the next day with my gi, and I was ready to go. And literally from that day forward, I started training 6 or 7 days a week, 2 a days if I could. Just started following Jeff anywhere he was going, teaching. I would go with him, and kind of following him around almost like a little puppy dog. Just whatever he wanted to show me, I was like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And through that, made friends in the jiu-jitsu community, started popping in everywhere, and just trying to train as much as I can. So, yeah, that's how I fell into it.
So now you're kind of centered in Cary, North Carolina for doing your jiu-jitsu for what you're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here full-time is where I train at. If I get the chance to pop in anywhere else, I do really enjoy training with other people. There's so much jiu-jitsu talent in North Carolina. It's insane, and I feel guilty if I don't take advantage of it. I like learning. So I do my best to find people that are better than me and have them beat me up, and I want to learn it.
I was going to say, it seems to be the normal, best way to get better at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you don't have to look really far around here. I could find people that could beat me up every 5 miles. There's someone that will do it, multiple people that will do it, and so it's great. I love it.
So speaking of beating people up or getting beaten up or whatever, you've been hitting some of these professional jiu-jitsu tournaments, or the Pro Jitsu or the Toro Cup, and you got one coming up at the Cage Side Concussion Cast, correct?
Yeah, I've got a match against John Shell, who I've never rolled against before, so I'm excited about that. I know he's tough. I know he competes a lot. So it should be fun. I hear he's a really cool guy too. So I enjoy it. I never have any hard feelings towards anybody when I'm competing against them, and I hope they ever don't, have them towards me. I just want to compete and enjoy myself and relax afterwards, and shake hands, talk about it. And if I win, fantastic. If I lose, it's not the first time I've lost. So but the plan is always to win. And I do enjoy these little super fights. They're a little bit different than tournaments where you sit there all day and, you bring your food and you sit down for 4 or 5 hours and you're not really sure when you're up and when you're not up. And, this is kind of cool. So I kind of have a time frame on when I'm competing. So it's going to be outside, which is exciting, and it's going to be in a gi, which is interesting. Obviously, I train in the gi all the time, but I'm not sure what the weather's going to be like, and it might be hot. And hot outside, gi.
In North Carolina.
Yeah, in North Carolina is going to be, it's a wild card match, so it might just be first person that doesn't faint wins.
Definitely. So are you going to have to make weight? So I was going to say that might be like you said, the key to victory there is staying hydrated.
Yeah, no, I don't cut any weight for anything. I walk around at about 162 pounds, and I kind of maintain that. And when I do tournaments, I kind of just go in and compete at the weight I'm at. There's a few times where I've done a tournament, and I think the weight class is 162 to 175. And I go in it, if I weigh in at 163, that's what I compete at. I'm not, I just want the most matches I can get. Like there was one time where they asked me if I wanted to go down in weight, and they said, okay, we'll give you like 10 minutes. You want to go cut half a pound? I said, well, how many matches are in that one? They said, oh, well, there's only 2 people down there. I said, all right, well, how many matches are in the higher class? I said, it was like 9 people in that bracket. I said, all right, great, I'll stay here. So I just want to get the most matches. Nice. Like I said, it's not like I'm a powerhouse. I try to be a technician, and that's what jiu-jitsu is created for. If your technique is really good and really strong, and you believe in it, and you can use it, then weight doesn't really matter as much. So yeah, I'm not a big weight cutter. I don't do it a whole lot. I'm older now. I'll leave that to the young guys.
So do you compete in the Masters division, or do you go down to adults?
I do adult. I do men's open. I don't want to accept it yet. I know that time's coming. I used to actually. Early on in competition career, I started doing both. I would do men's open and over 30. And it so happens that a lot of time those matches are overlapping. And the tournament where I decided I was done doing that was I was competing in the finals of the men's open match, and I hear them calling my name for the finals of an over 30 match. And they were like, last call, you grew up over here. And I said, oh, God. Finished that match, ran over there. I was like, can I have a second? I'm like, no, we got to go now. I said, all right.
Jeez, man.
And I was tired, and that's why I was like, you know what? I'll stick with men's open. And when I'm not able to compete and win in men's open, then I'll go to over 30. But I don't want to accept it yet.
Yeah, it's like the whole pride thing.
It is a big pride thing, and I stay fit. I'm in shape. I can. That's actually one of the things I do really well. I have a great gas tank, so I can go, and cardio doesn't really affect me too much. I can kind of grapple as long as I want to, which is, like I said, that's a testament to technique, not using strength. So as long as my cardio is good, I'm happy.
So is there any supplementary training you do, not just jiu-jitsu, do you do any strength training, any cardio conditioning like you're talking about?
Yeah, I do all. I like to lift weights 3 or 4 times a week. I'm never doing powerlifting. I kind of lift for just maintenance and stay loose and stay strong, stay in shape. I run, I bike a lot. I've got a bike trail down by my house that I'm on all the time, which is really cool. So I'll do some long rides every once in a while. And other than that, I come in here. Mark Jihad and his dad have a really good wrestling club here. They are awesome teachers, and I'll come in and wrestle with their young studs. They actually had a crew that was going to, the high school national tournament, which is for, I think the way Mark explained it to me is guys that are either won the high school state championship or finished second, qualify for it. So he had maybe 8 guys that were competing in it, and I came in the other day and they had an odd number, and I said, I volunteered my body to wrestle with these guys, and they took it to me. It was, but it was fun. I learned a lot, and so I've been wrestling with Mark now for a handful of years. Basically, everything I've ever learned in wrestling has come from him and his dad, and I went to high school. We didn't have a wrestling team growing up, so basically I was an open book. Everything they showed me, I believed in, and I did it. And I like training and everything, but that's kind of what I do on the side. I definitely try to stay fit. I like working out, and I like being healthy and eating clean. And you only get one ride on this roller coaster, so you got to make it a good one and make it last as long as possible. So that's my story with supplemental training.
Oh, well, something cool about this academy, this is not this exact location, but this is where I started, and there's a lot, there's just a good core group of guys. Do you find as well that helps complement your training as well? You're probably one of the higher ranking guys here, and you're an instructor here as well, correct? Yeah,
I run the kids program. I teach the fundamentals classes. Brian is the head instructor, Brian Mingy. He's a black belt under Hoist Gracie. But I will jump in and teach, like I said, teach classes whenever we need it taught. Yeah, for the most part, we've got our training partners are really cool, really awesome. I've honestly, in this here and in Clayton, I've never seen a blow up. I've never seen anyone get mad about winning or losing. You don't see any little scuffles on the side that I've seen in other places. For the most part, it's everyone is really friendly, really cool, really down to earth, and really humble. They don't mind winning or losing. And if they know you have something coming up, I've got guys that will literally just nominate themselves for me to kind of really work my attacks on. And that's a cool thing. You know, when you have friends of yours that are literally volunteering to have you choke them and arm lock them and leg lock them, that's really cool. So we have a good group here that I'm very thankful for. So
that's good. You mentioned leg lock. So this has kind of like been a point of discussion I've had with quite a few people, and I always like to hear somebody's opinion on it. So I know there's kind of like I guess two schools of thought on leg locks. Are you a guy who enjoys doing leg locks, or do you kind of like steer clear of leg locks in general as far as like beginners?
I do enjoy them. Actually, I've been working the last year. I'm working real hard on some leg locks, some things that I'd kind of steered away from early on. And a buddy of mine who's a black belt under Robert Drysdale, Cody Maltese, he's my size. I've been doing privates with him almost every 2 weeks or so, and I just get him to come over here. He beats me up. He's got a world-class guillotine. He's got a really awesome leg lock game, and basically I want him to just use all of that on me. So I've been absorbing a lot of that. And but no, I'm embracing it. I like the leg locks. I'm not a big heel hooker yet, but I do like a lot of straight knee bars. And but yeah, early on, you don't want people relying on it. I think it's the same reason early on I don't. A lot of my students, I don't show them guillotines either. It's almost that, I don't want to call it like a magic pill or magic potion, but you can really bypass jiu-jitsu and not have to learn guard passing and not have to learn defense off your back if you get really good at like heel hooks and guillotines. You know, you can almost skip ahead a little bit. And I want them to get the fundamentals down, and once they get that, then we'll start adding in that other stuff. We'll start letting them come over to the dark side and learn leg locks. And but yeah, it's I am embracing it. If you can tap somebody out with it, I think it's a good technique. So you'll never hear me fuss about getting neck cranked or wrist locked. I think there's a lot of skill involved in those things. So yeah, anybody that can do it, I am embracing it, and I want to learn it.
No, I agree with you. Actually, you brought up a really good point because, you know, like you said, it's not the magic pill. There's something I've seen with my guys as well is like, well, why you have to pass the guard if you just ankle lock them? And then like that goes into, if you just rely on that ankle lock, then you have nothing. Mm-hmm. Like you don't know how to pass the guard. Or the same thing with the guillotine. You don't have to worry about defending takedowns. You're just like, oh, I'll just guillotine him. No worries. I'll just guillotine him. So something that I'm seeing a lot too is a lot of people hanging on to submissions way past the point of them being feasible to get anymore. Like hold on to your guillotine well past your moving, like somebody moving to side control, passing the guard, and they're just got it on cranking.
Yeah.
Any advice for anybody who's having those issues?
If you're hanging on to it for a long, long time and just cranking it, you're probably not doing it right. That was something I didn't realize. So Cody and I been working on guillotines for a long time because I never had a guillotine, and he's got a great one. And when we went over it, the way he showed me, if you're doing it right, you're not squeezing. And we went over it a long, long time, and I started hitting them on people immediately. And there's no squeeze. I can hold my hands in that grip for a long time, and it's just it's technique. It's drilling repetition and putting it in the right spot. So, yeah, it's if I'm trying to think here. I kind of went down a rabbit hole and turned around. I'm trying to come back out it now. Yeah, people holding on too long, squeezing. Let it go. Move on to something else. Drill more. The position is more the stuff I'm concerned about. You know, giving up bad positions for a submission isn't the best thing. You know, I always learned. Jeff taught me positions are way more important than submissions. And yeah, it was months, I think, before I ever really knew a lot of submissions. Not a lot. Before I knew any. Everything he was showing me was survival. He was showing me mount escapes and all this stuff, and I was like, man, when am I going to learn how to submit somebody? He's like, you got to get in that spot first, and these are what you need. You know, you need to learn how to survive. And he made my defense very strong, and that's one of the better parts of my game is my defense is really good. And I'm good in the transition, and yeah, I try not to hold on to things too long. I try to hit them quick and get out of there.
Nice. So, so are the training that goes on here with are you taking part in the kickboxing classes at all, or have you done an MMA fight?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a 1-0 MMA fighter. I fought once. I actually fought a guy that was a real good wrestler, tough guy out of South Carolina, and he was, God, I think he was 18. Yeah, I was 35. I was old enough to be his dad, and he was tough, and I was actually surprised. He was a lot tougher than I thought, but no, I won. I did fantastic. I think I only got hit one time. I actually took him down more than he took me down. Outstruck him on the feet, outstruck him on the ground, and he just kept getting out of every submission I put him in, everything I had him in. He managed to get out, and had the last round gone a couple seconds longer, I would have had a choke in deep, and he was starting to go out, and I ran out of time. But yeah, so I do kickboxing here a lot. I've been kickboxing. I started probably a year after I started jiu-jitsu with Neil and all those guys down there, and it was the same thing. I was getting beat up bad, but I was enjoying learning, and yeah, my kickboxing's come a long way. Like I said, I'll teach some of the classes when Brian's not here, and I enjoyed it. Like definitely the last year and a half, I've started like geeking out on kickboxing a little bit, and watching a lot of instructional videos, and working with people on just real little things and fundamentals. And I'm starting to realize whether it's jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing, the fancy stuff is not the answer. It's all fundamentals. It's the stuff you do every single day. Like there's still things in jiu-jitsu I do that I did the very first class when I knew nothing that I still do to this day. So yeah, fundamentals are where it's at.
Well, it's all about just refinement as well. Like you can get even better at those basics.
Yeah, and that's something that teaching has taught me, even with the kids, even with the adults. When I'm teaching, I've realized no fancy moves are going to work. And when I used to grapple, I was really, not when I used to grapple, when I was right up until I was almost midway through being a purple belt, so maybe within the last year, I literally started dropping things from my game, things that I was like, man, why do I have this? I could just stick with more fundamental stuff. And I've really started refining things, and my game is a lot better now because of it. So maybe one day I'll go back to some of those other moves, but in the meantime, I just really want to get the fundamentals down, and I want my students to have it too. Because as a coach, there's nothing more embarrassing than looking out and seeing one of your people, and they're just in a real basic spot, and they have no clue what to do, and I feel like I've let them down. So I'm going to make sure that their fundamentals are sharp and solid, and that way I don't let them down.
So do you ever run into those white belt students then that like, oh, well, that's cool. Can you teach me the Berimbolo today? Or can you show me a Japanese necktie or flying wahoozy or whatever it is they want to work on?
Let's see. I haven't had a whole lot of requests for Berimbolo, really. I did have one the other day. Thomas, who's a really tough white belt, he's one of our first students here, and he's got the bug. He trains nonstop. He's morning, afternoon. He's become a gym rat. He's going to be real tough. But he came up to me the other day. He goes, hey, can you help me with this choke I've been working on? I said, all right, what is it? And it was a Peruvian necktie. And he starts setting it up, and I'm like, oh, a Peruvian necktie. I said, let's not do that one yet. He's like, why not? I said, man, honestly, it does work. And I went through the same thing. When I was right around where you are now, I said the same thing to Jeff. I said, hey, can you show me this? Yeah, I was watching it on video, and Jeff saw it. He said, oh, Peruvian necktie. Yeah, don't do that. And I said, why not? And he's like, well, I won't say don't, just let's not do it now. You got some other things we need to work on. We don't need to have these big showcase, flashy moves. Let's get the basics ones down. And I told Thomas, man, when the day comes when you're a brown and black belt and you're teaching people, you'll understand.
Yeah, it's like having like everyone's like, oh yeah, well one day you'll have kids just like that, and it seems to be the way it is.
That's what jiu-jitsu does. It turns you into an old man. I was this wild soccer player. Didn't really think too far past what was happening that day. I didn't really plan ahead. Jiu-jitsu has made everything in my life better. I'm looking at the future. Honestly, it makes it to where, and I love it because jiu-jitsu people always are using metaphors, but it makes it to where everything I've got, I'm thankful for. Everything I want, I realize I can get it. I just have to work hard. And it doesn't make you look in the past. It makes you look at the future. You can only be a little bit better each day. So you quit worrying about what you should have had or could have had, and you start looking at what you want to have and what you're going to have. And, yeah, so it is definitely a life art. like I said, first class. I've been hooked ever since and have never dreamed about quitting, even on the worst days where I'm just getting beat down. It's still the best day I've had, so I love it.
Well, that's good, because that's usually like one of the questions I ask. Like, yeah, what's the time you ever wanted to quit? Or you just like said, oh, fuck it, I don't want to do jiu-jitsu anymore. And so you've never had like that. No, I mean, not in the sense where like you threw your gis out or anything, but like just days where you're kind of like, maybe I'll take a day off.
I'll tell you what, I did have, when I had first started out with Jeff and all those world's strongest man guys, and I'm not kidding when I say they were world's strongest man. These guys, I thought they were just strongmen at first, and then they start showing me these pictures of them pulling trucks with Magnus from Magnuson on like the legit ESPN things. I guess one of them, a guy, Phil Farmer, and his buddy Dave, have got, Dave may not, but I think Phil at one point had like some world deadlift record of close to 1,000 pounds or something.
Holy shit.
He knows all the numbers. I don't know, but these guys were big and they were strong. But I'll tell you what, they were sweethearts to me. They never broke me. They didn't grind on me too much. They kept me in one piece, and they made my technique really sharp, because it was back to where you're talking about, did I ever get frustrated? It was probably 5 months before I'd ever made a sweep work. I just couldn't sweep anyone. I didn't have people my size. I was the only one there. The second smallest person was a guy named Stump, who was a purple belt at the time. I don't know if you know Stump. Dave Noblet.
I can't say I do.
He's 225. He's a long brown belt now. He's been a brown belt for a while, and is probably due for his black belt real soon. But he was my only training partner that was even close to my size, and I could never make any sweeps work on anybody. And I just assumed, I'm starting to think maybe this doesn't work as much as I thought it did. And Jeff says, well, you should come down to this place in Clayton with me. And that's actually how I met Neil Weaver and a bunch of the TFTC guys. So, okay. I go down there. They have a bunch of guys my size. And all of a sudden now my sweeps are working, my stuff's working. Yeah. I'm not stuck in side control the whole time. And then I just instantly excited. So I didn't ever think about quitting. But there were some times where I was getting a little down, a little sad. I was like, man, I really like this, but I just don't think I'm any good at it. And then Jeff just told me, hey, man, you're doing really well. You're really good. And keep it up. So, yeah, he made me happy again.
Well, sometimes I think it takes, like you said, going and trying on other people. Because, I mean, if we worked together, like training, it was just you and me for the most part for years and years and years. And we're going to know what's coming no matter what. It's going to end in stalemates. But there have been times I'm like, shit, my jiu-jitsu, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Roll with somebody new. Same thing, it all starts working again.
Yeah, and I didn't know, like jiu-jitsu, there's some real body-specific moves. And I didn't know, when you first start out, I just assumed everything worked on everybody. If I do an arm bar, it should work on everyone. Or if I do a triangle, it should work on everybody. I couldn't even close up a triangle on those guys. Their shoulders were so big and broad, I couldn't do it. So I was like, I guess triangle's not my move. I can't do it now. It's probably my number one move. I love triangles. And, a lot of that is body-specific. So when I roll with big guys, I got a little game plan that I kind of follow. And I'm arm drag, arm drag, arm drag. I'm not trying to triangle because I'll get stacked and passed. I'm not trying to really arm bar from the bottom. I'm sitting up and I'm arm dragging, kind of a la Marcelo Garcia. I'm just trying to get to their back. So it kind of it taught me how to roll with big guys, which is cool. So now I embrace everybody. I roll with everybody. You'll never see me being the little guy that's complaining about getting grinded on. I'll roll with any of the big guys. I don't care. They need training partners just like I need training partners. So I try not to turn up speed too much on them, and they, in return, try not to turn up the muscle on me. So we have a good understanding.
Well, that's real good. So one last thing before we finish up the podcast today. I know training and being an instructor is offer a lot of fun opportunities, a lot of fun things. What's even without using names, what would you say one of the, I guess, funnier experiences you've run across while teaching?
While teaching, that is a tough one. Funnier. Okay, so I was grappling with a buddy of mine. There's a really strong choke. It's called a baseball choke, and I had been working on it for a while. And I had been working on it from the bottom, which is a place you don't see a lot of people hit it from. Yeah. And it's a little setup where I'm in half guard, and I kind of let the guy pass, and as he's passing, I'm kind of setting it in. And I won't say any names because this guy beats me up on the regular. Honestly, he is always destroying me. So anyway, that day he just happened to come around, and I caught it right, and I rolled over my hip, and I'm squeezing it, and I'm like, God, this is so close. I was like, how is he not tapping? I'm waiting for the tap any second. and it's not there, and I'm going the knee on belly, and it's been about 10 seconds. I'm like, man, I got to let this go. My hands are getting too tight, and I guess I don't have it. And I sat up, and he's looking at me, but I noticed that the lights are on, and nobody's home. And I'm like, oh, God. And then he kind of starts spitting up a little bit, and I'm like, oh. And I lift up his feet, and I'm like, and he starts to come to a little bit. I'm like, are you okay? Okay. And he goes, boom, right into De La Hiva and sweeps me. And I'm like, whoa, are you all right? And he goes, yeah, what are you talking about? I said, you were passed out. He goes, from a baseball choke? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, man, I thought it was a dream. He came to and started beating my butt again, so it was funny. So that was one of the funnier moments. And like I said, I'm not knocking him. He beats me 9 out of 10 times, sometimes 10 out of 10. So he actually helps me out a lot with my game. But that was the first time I'd ever really put on a choke that I didn't know was in. And it scared me for a second, but then we laughed about it a lot afterwards because he went right into a sweep, man. So, yeah.
That happens. I mean, somebody's going to get caught, and sometimes you go to sleep, and there's nothing wrong with going to sleep. So.
Oh, yeah. No, I got choked down in Clayton one time, and a guy put me in a choke. I was like, I'm working it was actually a lower-ranked guy, too. It put me in a choke, and I kind of had given him position, gave him everything he needed. And I was like, all right, let me work my way out of this choke now. And I realized he'd done a lot better since last time I rolled him. That choke was a lot tighter than it was. And I was like, okay, I can get out. And all of a sudden I snored once or twice, and I got really lightheaded. And I sat up, and I probably was passed out, but it wasn't for a second. But, yeah, exactly. It goes around, comes around. It's the name of the game.
Absolutely. So before we wrap it up, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout-out to? Any sponsors, schools, anybody?
Man, shout-out definitely to all my training partners, man. I've got some really good ones. All my coaches, Jeff Baum, he's the reason I started Jiu-Jitsu. Obviously, Neil Weaver, Brian Mingy have helped me with a lot of stuff. My buddy Cody Maltese has been an awesome private instructor. He has just opened up a school in Durham called Elevate MMA. If you ever want to get him on, he's a black belt under Robert Drysdale. He's got a really cool perspective on things, and he's a very good teacher. So he helped a lot. A friend of mine, Buddy Edwards, he's another tough brown belt that beats me up on the regular that him and I kind of started around the same time. And he was another one that was a professional soccer player, and we kind of stopped doing soccer at the same time and kind of started this jiu-jitsu thing and have stuck with it and actually gotten a couple of our other soccer friends into it, and they fell in love. And then I guess my girlfriend Imogen, she helps me out. Our dogs, Rico and Fetzer. Without them, I couldn't do anything. And I'd say my dad, he kind of got me on this jiu-jitsu train a long time ago. He didn't realize it, but UFC 1 came out in like 1993, I guess it was. And I was probably 13 or 14. No, I was 15, sorry. And it was on pay-per-view, the old cable box where you can order the pay-per-view. He was going out, we were home, and me and my brother and my sister, and I said, oh, man, can I order this? Because I loved watching fighting. I loved movies, loved what I thought was fighting. And I was like, oh, man, this looks awesome. I need to order this. And he let me order it, and I watched it, and he came home. He said, how was it? I said, man, I don't know if it's real. I saw this little guy in his, this karate guy in his pajamas was choking everybody, and I think it was fake. And we ordered the next one. He watched it with me, and the same little karate guy in his pajamas was choking everybody again. I said, all right, this is either really high-level wrestling or it's a scam. And then I started seeing more and more, and I was like, oh, this is legit. This is real. And took 20 years for me to ever get into it, which is amazing. I wish I would have started when I was younger, but there wasn't anything available back then. And just the fact that my dad let me order that, he was always real open-minded to me playing sports. He let me play whatever I want, and I decided I wanted to look at that, and he let me watch it to see if that was for me. And, man, I was hooked ever since. And it's kind of cool now. I get to train under one of Hoyce's black belts here, Brian. So he beats me up on the reg, and I'm thankful for it every day.
Yep, full circle. I like it.
It has. Brought it back around.
Yeah, well, Brad, I do appreciate you coming on the show, man. I really, it's really awesome talking to you and hearing how you got from, soccer all the way out here to kicking people's asses in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I was surprised when you asked me to do it. It's very humbling, And I tell you what, when you had trained here, when I first met you, I didn't know that you trained in the original TFTC days. I felt bad. I was over there holding pads for you, and I asked you I was like, hey, do you know how to kicker. I didn't mean anything by it, but I just assumed that everybody that comes in, I hadn't seen you before. I assume everybody is on square one, and I want to make it as welcoming as possible to everybody and try to help them out. So.
Oh no, it was extremely like you're polite, you're professional. It was awesome. Like trust me, I'm not gonna be like, well, what the fuck? I was dude. That's not.
Can I kick? You want to see this?
Yeah, nah, not like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for listening to the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show, member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Go to podbros.com, find some more podcasts, and keep yourself entertained. And don't forget to go to bigjujitsu.com, like our Facebook page, facebook.com/bigjujitsu, our Twitter handle, and our Instagram is both Big Jiu-Jitsu. Once again, I am Rob the Lord Humongous, and we will catch you all next time.